Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us today. We have a real group of people with us today to help Jefferson Parish, sorry, with the Deaf Action Center, but we're honored to have many other levels of our government who are in the fight with us. Governor John Bel Edwards, thank you so much for being here. Senator Bill Cassidy, Congressman Steve Scalise, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, as well as a host of elected and state representatives, and I'm going to say them all, and I hope I don't miss anybody. This list was just put in my hand. So our chairman, Councilman Walker, Councilman Ricky Template, Councilman Edwards, Councilman Bonanno, Councilman Lee, Councilman Van Rankin, and Councilman Impastato. That is your entire governing body in Jefferson Parish, along with many state representatives, Senator Pat Connick, Representative Senator Stephanie Hilferty, Polly Thomas, Representative Joe Marino, Joe Stagney, Kyle Green, Rodney Lyons, Joe Bowie, and John Ilg, as well as Gretna Mayor Belinda Constant and Chief Arthur Lawson. And again, I apologize if I left anybody else. This was just put in my hands. And you are going to be addressed by many speakers today. I just got off of a helicopter ride with Congressman Scalise. I haven't been able to catch my breath from that. We just walked in, but my focus has been on Jefferson Parish since before the storm, and I guess it's my own naivety. We've just been so focused on Jefferson Parish. I feel foolish to say it. I had no idea how devastating this storm was to such an incredible amount of communities. I guess I've been so isolated here in my parish that the destruction at the complete area. We were with Parish President of Archie Chasson. He is driving, on a helicopter. I'm looking at my parish. He's looking at his parish, and I think we were both heartbroken, looking at the utter devastation. We flew over Grand Isle. We flew over Lafitte. It's like you take a little house, you crumple it up, from the helicopter, it looks like matchsticks, like a little pile of matchsticks that you're flying over. For some reason, the cows made it. I'll have to look at that. We have to research. They're grazing in the grass. All the cows made it. So that is definitely on my list to look into. So we were honored to have a great meeting. The governor provided all the state agencies to give us a briefing here in Jefferson Parish on all the things that they're doing. So everybody is working so very hard to put our community back together. We're happy to have received pods today. They're out, so those distributions took place. I wasn't able to get there today, but I know they were giving out food and water and MREs. And again, if you cannot take care of yourself, you go to PARD, or you call 349-5360. Again, right now, we're a broken community right now. Today, we're a broken community. It won't always be that way. We don't have electricity. We don't have communication. We don't have gas. Our water and sewer systems are very fragile. So as of today, if you cannot sustain yourself, if you can't take care of yourself, government can help you, but it just can't be within this parish at this moment. Again, that won't always be that way, and then in the next few days we'll receive a lot of additional resources here. So please go to PARD. You will be taken to a shelter in Alexandria, and you will be comfortable. You will have air conditioning, you will have food, you will have water, and you will have the depth of medical services that you need. That is also a very vulnerable system here. So please, my plea to everyone, again, is you can't come back if you're away. I know you want to see your home. I took a lot of footage of Grand Isle. I'm going to get with our public information office to post the video that we have, so maybe you can see an aerial view of your home. So you'll see something, but it's not the time to come back. I promise you, everybody standing with me today here is doing everything they can to make our recovery as quick as possible, but we have to be patient. Today, you still cannot come home. So again, we were able to express our needs to the governor. I know the need today this will expand as the days go, but today, fuel is our big need. I was called by Second Harvest, who can do a great job, but, their employees need fuel. I need hospital workers to be able to get to work. We have enough fuel for our first responders and our government workers, but I don't have enough to share with somebody critical like a hospital or Second Harvest Food Bank or other critical needs in this community. And so we wait for that to arrive. We also were able to explain that we needed generators and ambulances. So, and then the needs as we go on will be different as this process goes on. But I was so fortunate to have the state officials and our federal delegation to be able to understand where we are today, and they are doing everything they can. They're all calling back their offices, trying to shake the trees with private companies that they know, and through government departments to get us the assistance. So with that, we're very honored. I know everybody's tired. I know everybody's exhausted, heartbroken. You're away from your families. You're away from your house. But I want you to look around the room and see these people. This is our home that we're fighting for. This is our community that we're fighting to put back together. And I promise you, their resilience and their determination will do well by you. But just please be patient and give us time. The battle is very big for us to fight, but we will fight and we will prevail. Thank you. Governor Edwards.
Madam President, thank you very much. And I want to thank Senator Cassidy and Congressman Scalise and all the people who are here today behind me. And really, more than any of us, all the first responders here in Jefferson Parish and across the state of Louisiana who have been working so hard and so well. I do want to announce that I've been informed that the President has accepted my invitation. He will be coming to Louisiana on Friday. I don't know exactly what time or what his itinerary is, but I do appreciate the fact that he's going to come, because there's nothing quite like visiting in person. Much like Cynthia just told you, when you see it for yourself, it is just so much more compelling than when you hear about it or read about it, or maybe even you just see it on TV. Our people have taken a pretty good lick here from Hurricane Ida. But our people are very resilient and strong as well. Having said that, we need all the help that we can get from the federal government, from the nonprofit sector, from the faith community, and certainly from us at the state level and working with our local partners as well. We were able to fly over Grand Isle and Jean Lafitte and much of South Louisiana yesterday. On the way over here today, we flew over a different part of Jefferson Parish. There's significant damage everywhere. We've got a lot of work to do. I do want to start with a couple of pieces of positive news, one of which is, and I am very careful about what I say, but there are certain ways in which we've been very blessed. As I stand before you today, there are 2 confirmed fatalities, and when you think about the sheer magnitude of utter devastation, the fact that that's where we are is miraculous. Now, it's our job to make sure that we don't lose more people unnecessarily because of carbon monoxide poisoning and accidents and so forth, and heat exhaustion. Also, we're blessed because our levees held up. They performed the way that they were supposed to. And that was the Hurricane Risk Reduction System here in the Jefferson and Orleans area, but also other federal and non-federal levees all across southeast Louisiana. That death total would have been much, much higher had that not happened. We've also got a little good news in that the President signed a major federal disaster declaration that I requested, and that means for the first 30 days after landfall, the federal government's cost share will be 100% for Category A, which is debris removal, and Category B, which is emergency protective measures. He also approved individual assistance and public assistance. Now, the public assistance is at 75%. But everybody out there who is a Hurricane Ida survivor needs to apply to FEMA for individual assistance. It doesn't happen automatically. You can apply online at disasterassistance.gov, or you can call 1-800-621-3362. I can tell you that in the last day and a half, they've set records for how many people have applied so quickly, and quite frankly, they've gotten tens of millions of dollars out the door to those families as well. So it's very important that people apply. A little more good news is that there were some areas that actually started to have power restored today, principally in New Orleans with the feed that came in from New Orleans East. Critically important to show some progress there, and I believe that's going to continue to build over the coming days. And it's going to be wonderful when everybody gets their lights back on. We are asking people to try to be patient and understanding, because anytime you have a storm that is this devastating, it will take some time to get all of that infrastructure back up and working. But I believe we're going to see steady progress from this point forward. And I am mindful it's not just a matter of convenience, and it's not just a matter of comfort for air conditioning. It really is about life-saving. We have dozens and dozens of hospitals and nursing homes and other critical facilities right now operating on generator. It is typically only a matter of time before a generator may fail. So we are trying to get backup generators on site that are properly sized to each of those facilities, with the technicians, with all the fuel, trying to move the water where the water needs to be, because you can't run a hospital and so forth without water. A lot of challenges, but we're starting to see the lights come back on in some places. Today, more than 11,000 homes and businesses were restored. Now, we were over 1 million, so I'm very mindful that it's a start, and only a start. In terms of electrical infrastructure, I think you know that we've got transmission lines and distribution lines and substations, and there is tremendous devastation further south in Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes. The co-op Sleeka, they're going to have to rebuild their system. They're saying in their 83-year history they've never been devastated as they were in this storm. But I can tell you we've got some good news out there too, as I mentioned, with certain hospitals, including in St. Tammany and New Orleans East, being powered back up. I'm going to announce here the Blue Roof program has commenced, and I want to thank the Corps of Engineers. They will oversee that, and they've been tasked by FEMA to run this program. The Operation Blue Roof program is about getting as many houses into livable condition as possible. So if you sustained a roof damage, we really want you to take advantage of this program. The eligible parishes are those that we know sustained hurricane force winds. So it's not every parish that was approved for individual assistance. And I'm going to read the parishes out right now, and I'm going to try to go slowly. Ascension, Jefferson, Lafourche, Livingston, Orleans, Plaquemines, St. Bernard, St. Charles, St. James, St. John the Baptist, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, Terrebonne Parish, and I think that's it. And this is a service that is free to the homeowners that qualify. After the blue roof is installed, the structure is declared habitable. Now, what that means is if your roof is gone, but so is the rest of your house, you're not going to qualify, because when they put the roof on, you need to have a habitable house. But if you have any questions about that, you call the number that I'm about to give you. You apply online, and someone will come out. Storm debris also has to be removed from the roof as well. Residents can sign up for the program at blueroof.us. Blueroof.us, and you're going to have to sign a right of entry form that gives the contractor the authority to come onto your property. You can also sign up by calling toll free at 888 Roof Blue, and that's ROOFBLU. 1-888-766-3258. So that's how you register for the Blue Roof program. To share with you all a little experience we had with this program last year in southwest Louisiana. After Hurricane Laura, the Corps of Engineers ran this program, put up 13,000 or 14,000 blue roofs. I can tell you that when a few weeks later Delta came in, it was very apparent which homeowners had had their roofs repaired under the Blue Roof program because those tarps remained in place, and those that had done it themselves. So I'm encouraging homeowners out there to take advantage of this program. We have seen the difference it can make, and we still have a lot of hurricane season left to go. As of this morning, there were 2,591 people being sheltered in 31 shelters across the state. If you are looking for a shelter, if you have any questions, please text LA Shelter to 898-211 or dial 211. There will be some people who are trying to ride it out, and you're going to find that your home is not functioning well. Maybe it was damaged in addition to not having electricity or water, and at some point you may need a shelter. Please, if you need a shelter, call, and we will make sure that we have a place for you. If you are currently evacuated, please do not come back until you know from your parish emergency operations center that it is the time to do so. Really, we cannot sustain people. Stores aren't open, schools aren't open, pharmacies aren't open. Our hospitals are very challenged. You don't have electricity, you don't have water. So if you come back, a lot of bad things can happen. So please be patient as best you can. I do want to announce that Louisiana has received a hot food waiver from the USDA to allow SNAP recipients to use benefits to purchase hot or prepare foods. That will run through September the 28th. It's only available at retail locations that normally accept the SNAP EBT cards. So you can't go to a restaurant, but if there's a store out there that actually happens to have hot food, and they take normally the SNAP cards, the EBT cards, you can use it. If you've got if you want DSNAP updates, you can text LADSNAP to 898-211. As I mentioned before, only 2 storm-related deaths thus far. I do expect that number will rise because coroners will attribute deaths to the storm that happened after the storm, so long as they're connected in some way. There are currently 212 water outages that are impacting more than 600,000 people. This is what the president was talking about. There are also 95 boil advisories that impact over 400,000 people in Louisiana. Generator safety, please keep your generators 20 feet away from your homes in a well-ventilated area, not in your home, not in a crawl space, not in a garage, not under a window or a vent. And please cool them off for 20 minutes before you refuel them. I can tell you that the Department of Transportation has used their buses to transport more than 1,200 people throughout the event, and they're going to stay on place. They've got more than 200 buses and paratransit vehicles. There remain 73 weather-related closures across the state. So the point here is, while the interstates are open and the major U.S. highways are open, once you get off of those, there are a lot of road closures. Please go to 511la.org before you leave your house to make sure you can get where you're going. Bridge inspections have begun, but understand that there are more than 1,500 bridges just in the North Shore and New Orleans, greater New Orleans areas. They all have to be inspected. The CPRA is conducting dewatering operations in Lafourche, Plaquemines, St. Bernard, St. Charles. They're starting in Jefferson. I think the Corps of Engineers, General Spellman went down today with Chip Klein of the CPRA looking to start dewatering efforts in the Jean Lafitte area. But it's also happening in St. John the Baptist. And if you've seen Laplace, you can just see it from the interstate. You know that the water is a real problem there. They are still doing inspections, the CPRA, on the hurricane risk reduction system and all the other levees to make sure that any damage gets repaired because we are still in hurricane season. I want you to know the entirety of the Louisiana National Guard is activated, 5,659 guardsmen in support of current operations. They actually conducted 17 points of distribution, so this is a distribution of commodities, things like water and tarps and MREs. They did those in Lafourche and Tangipahoa and St. James, Orleans, St. John, St. Charles, Plaquemines, and here in Jefferson Parish today. And there will be more pods open tomorrow than today. All total, and these are just the state agencies, and this is a very small number of the total who've been rescued. But state agencies have rescued a total of 636 people and 73 pets. I want you to know we have 21 search and rescue teams from about 17 different states on hand in Louisiana right now. And I thank all the governors of those other states, because it's not just those rescue teams, it's National Guardsmen. We have state troopers coming in from other states to assist in law enforcement. We have sheriff's deputies coming in from other states. And the truth is, just like we all work so hard together here, that happens all across the country as well. So we appreciate that. To talk about something that is obviously difficult at a time like this, it further complicates all of our efforts. We did start reporting our COVID numbers again today. And since the last time they were reported 4 days ago, there have been 12,380 new cases. And with many, many testing sites down, we know that the number is much higher than that. Over the last 4 days, 223 additional people have died. That brings us to 12,582. There are 2,447 hospitalized across the state, and 446 of those are on ventilators. And I want you to think about that, because many of them are in this region operating on generator power. Now, I'm very thankful that there's 2,447 today, because there were well over 3,000 just a couple of weeks ago. I will tell you, the mask mandate worked, because the percent positivity started going down 2 weeks after we reimposed it, and so did our cases, and so did our hospitalizations. Not our deaths yet, because those are always a lagging indicator. It's a very difficult time. Did sign a new public health emergency order today that will extend the mask mandate till September the 29th. State offices will be closed in a number of parishes, and I hate to say this, but they've asked me to give those out. And these parishes are going to be closed through the remainder of the week, right? All right, so it will be Tuesday after Labor Day when some of these will go back to work. But they are Ascension, Assumption, East Baton Rouge, East Feliciana, Iberville, Jefferson, Lafourche, Livingston, Orleans, Plaquemines, St. Bernard, St. Charles, St. Helena, St. James, St. John the Baptist, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, Terrebonne, Washington, and West Feliciana. Finally, and then I'm going to ask Senator Cassidy and then Congressman Scalise to come up. The fuel problem is very significant. We understand the challenges associated with that. It's impacting all of our recovery efforts. We have had as many as 8 refineries down. That was as of yesterday. I think 1 or 2 of those may have come back up, but it is a significant problem because the fuel just isn't available to us the way we would want it to be. We are working with our federal partners, with the business community, with Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association, you name it, to try to identify bulk fuel that can be brought in. We did have a little win today. We got a waiver approved upon our request by the IRS, so we're going to be able to use off-road or the red dye diesel in the parishes of southeast Louisiana only for 15 days, and we're looking to try to make that available. But that, again, that's only diesel. So I'm gonna yield the podium now to Senator Cassidy, and then there'll be some questions at the end of the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Madam Parish President. Let me echo a little bit what was said. When Steve Scalise and the Parish President speak about flying over, the devastation is incredible. I did it the other day, East St. John, Fouchon, the Bayou area, and on through here. But also to echo what the Governor said, it gives you a different perspective of being on the ground. I was earlier today in Lafitte, and just the devastation in Lafitte, a small community, but almost, in fact, every building was affected, and you can see the water line at 6 to 8 feet up there. And even the homes that were raised have all had wind damage. And 2 things I found most kind of remarkable. At the end of the road, you look down, and there were mailboxes, but there was no road. And so the water is still high. It still needs to recede. Recovery can't completely begin. And secondly, there was a above-the-ground cemetery on the Gulf side of the road, but one of the huge caskets, I'm told, weighs 1,200 pounds that floated to the north side. And so the devastation was there for even those structures that were heavy and have been there quite some time. I want to just thank again all the federal partners, local and state. As whenever I've called, trying to represent an interest of someone locally, things are happening. So I appreciate that. And now I want to speak both to the distant past, to a year ago, and then to the future. The mayor spoke to me earlier, Belinda, wherever you are, and Mayor Constant said, you know, we didn't flood. The system worked. 16 years ago, George W. Bush said that we were going to build a levee, a hurricane protection system around these communities. It worked. Yes, we have electricity out. We didn't flood. The numbers of deaths is so minimal relative to 16 years ago. Preparation works. And so now I want to speak to the future. I've been advocating for an infrastructure bill that's passed the Senate that would actually have things such as hardening the grid for natural disasters, coastal restoration, prioritizing states which have had natural disasters hit their shoreline in the last 6 years, prioritizing for flood mitigation those communities which have recently flooded. Internet, $65 billion for internet so that all Americans have access to high-speed internet. And I mention that in this context because I've learned on a federal, state, and local level, we are communicating with constituents via social media as to how to mitigate your risk of harm. Congressman Scalise had a good comment, if I can steal your thunder, Steve. Maybe we need to take those power lines from being overhead and burying them. Well, if that's what hardening the grid would be about, then there will be dollars to harden those grids. So as I speak to the future, I'd like to hope that, God forbid, there be another major hurricane 16 years from now. We can say both that the levee's held and that we still have power. But if that's to be the case, it means that we do the preparation now, just like 16 years ago, George W. Bush committed that we would have this levee system now. And one more thing, for the people in Southwest Louisiana, you are not forgotten. We are aware that the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Relief that you're hoping for and counting on has not yet come through. And so in the midst of this, one, you're not forgotten. We continue to raise that with the administration. And for those in this community, we will continue to we will begin to work on that as soon as you file to make sure that your situation is not that of Southwest Louisiana a year later, still waiting. So thank you both. Thank you. Yeah, Steve.
Thank you, Bill. And I'll start where he left off. In fact, this morning, one of the conversations I had was with Lake Charles Mayor Nick Hunter, and I know we have all of us, Governor Bill, have been working to try to help the people of Lake Charles recover from Hurricane Laura. We don't just look at ourselves as isolated communities because whether it's Louisiana or even other states, so many of my colleagues from around the country have reached out and said, how can we help? People want to help neighbors. We're all in this together, and we're going to work to make sure that we rebuild this area. But we also want to make sure we don't leave Lake Charles behind as well. And as supplemental appropriations talks move forward, and they're already happening as we speak, and as President Biden comes in on Friday, we will be having that conversation with him as well. But we also want to make sure that the Lake Charles community is not left behind that either. But now if we talk about the assessment here, and as Parish President Shang mentioned, this morning I wanted to go out to see some of the most hard-hit areas. And so we went out, we got with Parish President Archie Chasson in Lafourche Parish, as well as Cynthia Shang. We looked over some of the really hard-hit areas. Obviously, Port Fourchon is where Ida struck ground. And when you look at some of the reports, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back and reassess this and upgrade it to a Category 5 storm, because when you look at some of the damage, they recorded in parts of Port Fourchon winds in excess of 180 miles an hour. So when you look at that devastation, and it's massive devastation, when you see major marine vessels picked up and moved, dry docks picked up and moved, it tells you just what kind of strong winds hit for sustained hours at a time to do so much damage. We saw the destruction that was done to those communities in Grand Isle and Port Fourchon, and we wrote up the whole route that Ida took, and you can see the devastation all around. So we know this is going to be process to get back on track, to rebuild stronger. But as we rebuild stronger, we really need to rethink how we rebuild. And this is something we did after Hurricane Katrina. There were a lot of debates about levees. We saw the flaws of the old levee boards. We had big battles in Baton Rouge and overcame those and finally reorganized our levee boards to put professionals in charge. And when we rebuilt those levees, Governor, we saw much stronger levees, as the governor alluded to, that held. All of those levees, even the levees in Terrebonne and Lafourche that they built on their own. They're not yet Corps certified. We're trying to get Morganza to the Gulf. But they built their own levees, and those levees held even in these highly destructive winds of Hurricane Ida. And so because we rethought how to do it better, not just rebuilding what we had, not rebuilding what broke, but rebuilding better so it doesn't break again, and those levees didn't break. And that's the kind of conversation we need to be having as we think about how to rebuild the power grid and other conversations. And I talked with the Coast Guard about that, because the Coast Guard ultimately not only are heroes, and you go back to Hurricane Katrina, one of the real heroes was the United States Coast Guard. We never forget that. I always tell Coast Guard service members when I see them that we thank them for the service they gave us. They literally saved lives, countless lives after Katrina, picking people off of rooftops. Well, you know what? They did it again. They were out there right after the storm passed, helping getting people out of their houses in those flood-stricken areas. And they also are in charge of our navigable waterways, and there's a lot of damage to our navigable waterways, not just the power line over the Mississippi River, but also some of the vessels that are strewn about. They're well aware of that. We saw some other things that they were taking note of. So we're going to continue working with all of our federal partners. But as we continue working on problems, those ones that we've identified, yesterday we were talking right here last night about trying to get that Blue Roof program back up and running. I want to thank FEMA for working quickly. Fastest time in the history of FEMA, the Blue Roof program has existed, that fastest time that they've gotten that program up and running, and it's available right now for anybody who had roof damage. As the governor said, the house has to be habitable. You got to be able to get back in it. But if the roof has damage, that program is now up and running, fully paid for by FEMA through the Corps of Engineers to get people out there to put a blue roof on your roof, not just to pick up a tarp, but to actually install it professionally so that you can get through the storm, get through whatever might come in the future weeks and months until you can get your roof fixed. I know we have that on our website too. You can go to scalise.house.gov. You can sign up for the Blue Roof program. You can also sign up for the individual assistance program and the other things that FEMA has in place already. And as new things come, we'll continue to work on that. But we're all going to pull together all the way through this. We need to get the power back up. We need to get fuel. I'll be on a call tonight with all the major refineries across the country as we're trying to get more fuel into our region. But we're going to keep working together. Governor, Parish President Shang, thank you, and I think I'll turn it back over to you. Or the governor.
I knew you'd be first. We'll take a few questions now.
All right, Governor. What additional resources might you ask the President for when he's in Louisiana, and what steps do you think he can take to get more fuel to this state?
Well, the second question was fuel?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go there first. Obviously, he's got a Secretary of Energy, he's got a FERC, and there are controls that they have across the country. But quite frankly, we need bulk fuel be brought in before the refineries come back up on their own. Because right now, we don't know when that's going to be. And what we need is gas and diesel, and not just all across Louisiana, but particularly focused on southeast Louisiana. And the irony here is that it's 2/3 of the state's refining capacity that's down. But the state of Louisiana provides fuel for the rest of the country. And now we need the rest of the country to give up a little bit of their fuel to come back to Louisiana so we can deal with this hurricane and get our recovery started the way that it should. And he certainly has the ability, not only through the Department of Energy and the federal agencies, but he too, much like Congressman Scalise was mentioning, he can pick up the phone and he can call and make sure that the private sector companies that can help as well. And the first question is, what will we be asking the president for? Well, there'll be a long list, but chief among them will be making sure that we have a permanent housing program that we can start as soon as possible for southeast Louisiana. And obviously, we want to start one for southwest Louisiana. We don't have that appropriation either. Now, there is an instrument, and I don't want to get into the business of how things happen in Washington, but there's a continuing resolution that could potentially contain an appropriation for these housing programs. So we're going to be talking to him about that as well. But quite frankly, the list is going to be very, very long. And we will be developing that list. We already got a number of things on it between now and when that visit actually does take place this Friday. But making a request is important. But making a request at the same time he sees the utter devastation that has happened here, I think it would be better received. And so the timing is important as well.
Just as a follow-up, will you ask them to pick up the phone and make that happen?
To pick up the phone and make what happen?
You said if you could pick up the phone and help with getting
Yeah, but I be very honest with you. I believe that will probably happen before he ever comes. I had a conversation. In fact, I've had 3 today with the White House. You saw me pull out my phone. I hung up on somebody in the White House so I could come back and talk to you. But we've had 3 conversations. All of them have dealt with fuel already, and so I fully expect that will happen before he ever comes. And what we will be doing instead is announcing the relief that's en route, and that's. I guess it's my expectation. It's certainly my hope. Anybody else? Look, yes, sir.
Governor, for you personally, I mean, I know you've seen so much devastation during your time as governor, but throughout the recovery of this storm, for you personally, what was the hardest thing for you to see?
Well, look, me and my family, we're extraordinarily blessed, and we're all well. But to see so many of our fellow Louisianans who are not today, and whether they're at home trying to clean up, and they're not just hot. They don't have water. They don't have electricity. They're miserable. Some people not able to stay in their homes at all because they've been so damaged, and they're trying to find a friend or a relative, or they're at one of our shelters, knowing that this is all happening, again in Louisiana. We had 4 hurricanes that struck Louisiana last year, and this one is just horrendous. But I guess I'm also at the same time, and I hope everyone is inspired by just the goodness and the decency and the generosity of the people of Louisiana. They are hardworking and faithful and good people. And you're always going to hear some stories because the media likes to promote the sensational and the bad news. There are so many good news stories happening across our state today right now with people being good neighbors to one another, and the assistance that is actually being brought to bear, whether it's local or state or federal or partnership of all of those. And the good news stories don't make it. You're going to lead with the fuel problem. You're going to lead with the electricity problem, and probably you should. But make sure that you get out there and you cover what Louisianans are doing for one another, and you can't help but be inspired. And I'm going to continue to ask people to be good neighbors, because we've got to go out and check on those who are older, those who have special needs, because even if they've made it through the storm, they're not living in really good conditions right now, right? So let's go out and check on them. Let's do what we can, and we'll provide the assistance as best and as soon as we're able to do so. Yeah.
Governor, what would your message be to the people of Southeast Louisiana that are also relying on the federal government for help? We saw the challenges in Southwest Louisiana. We've seen the politics play. What would your message be to the people of Southeast Louisiana to say, hey, this isn't going to happen. We're going to make sure that everyone's taken care of?
Well, first of all, we're going to take care of the people in Southwest Louisiana. It's just going to be later than it needed to be. And I don't want people to think we haven't been working for Southwest Louisiana. We have committed money from housing programs, from the Watershed Initiative, from community development, from the Capital Outlay Program, and so forth. We have created tax increment financing districts over there. I have swapped out state buildings with the city so that they can get back going much faster, and we've done more transportation projects and so forth. But what they need is permanent housing, and that money has not yet been appropriated by Congress so that HUD can give us the CDBG funding that we need. So my commitment to Southwest Louisiana is we're going to continue to make the case for them, and we're going to immediately start making the case as well for Southeast Louisiana. And I have every expectation, and I don't know why. There's no excuse for why it's a year later and we don't have it for Southwest Louisiana. But we know the nation is focused on Louisiana right now for Ida, and we're going to take advantage of that and see if we can't turn that into a very speedy appropriation in Congress. And I can tell you our congressional delegation is fighting. I absolutely know that. I can tell you I've been favorably impressed with the conversations that I've had thus far with the White House. We just have to make it all happen. And my message is we're going to work night and day to make that happen just as soon as we possibly can. Thank you all very much, and God bless you, and thank all the people that were up here as well.